Hi, this is Nathan Lehman with the Ultra Running Company, and we're here to talk about shoes. Today we're going to talk about the Hoka Challenger ATR 5. And yes, I said Hoka 11 just to get lots of comments. If you want to tell me it's one, we can have that conversation all day long. But let's focus on this shoe because it's a pretty darn awesome shoe. So first of all, in the Ultra Running Company categorization, the Hoka Challenger 5 is a comfort cushioned, low drop trail shoe. One important thing is that when we originally started categorizing these, we had a mixed use category. More and more shoes have moved away from mixed use, meaning they can be used on trail and on the road. But Hoka openly advertises the Challenger 5 as being what they call an ATR shoe, all-terrain, meaning that it works both on the road and on trail. And so we'll definitely talk a little bit about that in this review. So let's kind of break it down. First things first, talking about the amount of cushion on this shoe. The Challenger is a 5mm drop shoe, which means that it has 5mm more in the heel than it does in the forefoot. In this particular case, we've got 29mm of cushion in the heel and 24mm in the under the metatarsals right here. That's always a little bit confusing with a Hoka because since it has so much cushion on it, they actually put in what they call a rocker on the front. So while it may be a 5mm drop from here to here, it then ramps up pretty quickly so that when you roll off, you've got good toe pressure on the bottom of the shoe right here, and you can really push off a little bit more. So always important to note that the drop is from about here where the knuckles of your toes hit to the center of your heel back here. In this case, that cushion with 29mm of cushion, it's certainly maximally cushioned, but it's a very light shoe. This is Hoka's lightest cushion, which means that when you step into it, you're going to feel it compress. It shares that with earlier models of the Clifton on the road side. In fact, this shoe used to be based almost entirely off of the Clifton. Today, we tend to see quite a bit of divergence between the two. This shoe has maintained kind of its light reputation throughout the life of the shoe and remains a very light shoe for something that's so heavily cushioned. So let's take a look at what makes this a true mixed use or ATR type shoe, and that's the tread on the bottom of it. The Challenger has always had a relatively capable but not overly capable tread, and this tread is what really differentiates the Challenger 5 from all of the Challengers before it and makes it a very different shoe. In the past, the Challenger was really just a modified, beefed up version of the Clifton. So what that means is that it had the same pattern as the Clifton with a little bit of rubber back here, basically 3 prongs of rubber here, but instead of being flat like the Clifton was, it introduced lugs. It had some thicker lugs on the outside, some thinner Hoka-shaped lugs on the inside, better for traction, but anytime you add a lug, you get a little bit of instability when you get on the road. Now, the thicker you make these lugs, the more stability you get when you land on the road. It's the surface to void mix. And when you have something small, you have a low surface area and a larger void. On the new shoes, what they've done is they've kind of, in the middle specifically, really spread out these treads. So what that gives you is more surface touching the ground when you're on the road, but it keeps the same depth of lug so you can still get nice traction when you're on the trail. So where would we use this? Because it's such a maximally cushioned shoe, you can actually wear this pretty much anywhere. Your challenge is going to come if you get on highly technical trails, very rocky or exceptionally durable trails with sharp edges. The cushion on this is just so soft that you're going to rip it up a little bit more than you would some of the more durable Hokas, some of the heavier Hokas, and some of the more specifically off-road type of Hokas. But anywhere where it has this black, you know that it's going to hold up really well. And this black, it's a carbon rubber basically, which means it's a little harder than the gray area, which is just the cushioning rubber. It wraps right around. And so this is going to hold up really well through here. We recommend this shoe mostly for kind of lighter trails, for trails that have been run on quite a bit, where you don't have a whole lot of sharp rocks sticking up, maybe where they've been worn down a little bit more. Again, you can wear it on more technical trails, but it's not really where it shines. In addition, because this is their softest rubber, you're going to get just a little bit of side-to-side action when you land on the trail. So if you're looking for really any ground feel at all, this is probably not the shoe for you. And if you're looking for a really super nimble type shoe, again, you may want to look at other Hokas, other shoes in general. What you're going to get on this is, if you are on some of that less technical terrain, you're going to get a shoe that gives you lots of protection, lots of cushion, and feels fantastic for miles and miles, and is also very capable. So again, those are kind of your trade-offs when you go with a lighter shoe. The cushion just isn't as stiff and doesn't give you as much feedback from the ground. The upside on that is it's soft and it feels good for a long, long time. So moving to the upper, again, this has always been a differentiation from the Clifton, which is the road shoe, but you're going to get some overlays here in the toe box that give it good protection. The material on the side, this is now actually a 3-layer upper, where you have a durable yet breathable material on the outside. You have some pieces in the middle that basically extend from the cushion all the way up to the laces and provide some structure for the shoe. They complement these overlays here, but in this case they're all underneath the first layer. And then you're going to have a layer on the inside that's nice and soft, so that you're not going to have those overlays rubbing against your foot. So really a nice mix. This is basically a seamless upper with some overlays, and really nothing there to rub on your toes. So from that aspect, really a nice execution on this one. In the past, we've seen a little bit more taper on the toe box of the Challenger. It's gone through a couple iterations. In the last two, it's been a little straighter and wider through here. We really like that because it allows your toes to move around. Still has a bit of a taper though, so if you have a wide foot, especially where it hits some of these overlays here that are a bit more durable and a bit less flexible, that's where you might run into some issues with rubbing or blistering or anything like that. That's going to happen to people with the wider toe box. If you have a narrower foot or a tapered foot, that's really not an issue. So here's the really killer aspect of the Challenger, in that this season they've actually introduced a newer, wider Challenger, so the Challenger Wide. So for those folks that are having issues up here, go into a store that has both, try them both on. What you're going to find is a little bit more width right through here, and then that taper is going to come to a slightly wider point up here, so the larger feet are going to fit in. It's also going to be a little more robust in the back. Now the really interesting thing is, we've weighed these shoes, and from Hoka's perspective, their sample sizes for women on the regular shoe, for women they come in at 7.7 ounces, which is just exceptional. For men, 9.4 ounces. Pretty amazing. As I always say, the standard is about 10 ounces. Under 10 ounces is a light shoe. More than 10 ounces gets a little heavy. To have this much cushion and be under 10 ounces is really exceptional. In my flippers, these size 13s, we're looking at almost 12 ounces, 11.9 actually. Here's the amazing thing. If you go with the wide in this shoe, it goes from 11.9 ounces to 12 ounces. That's almost no difference. That's really within the margin of error on a scale or on a shoe with this much cushion. You do get some variation. What we found is that on the tread side, where you would be adding weight, it's really only about 1 millimeter wider on the tread side. Some of that width, it ends up being, I think, about 2 millimeters wider. We don't have the tools to measure that, so that's what I've been told. 2 millimeters wider here, but about 1 millimeter of that is simply due to the way that the foot shape that they wrap it around is constructed. It doesn't transfer down here. So amazingly, if you do have a wider foot and you decide to buy the Challenger Wide, you're not giving up anything in weight. So we're really excited about that. In general, the shoe comes in at $130, which is kind of our sweet spot for a trail shoe. You can certainly get some less expensive, and there are definitely trail shoes that are more expensive. But on a cost per use basis, on a cost per unit of joy, $130 for this shoe is really fantastic. So we like it. Definitely make sure that this shape fits your foot. Make sure it locks in. You have an option with the wide now. You've got a little more, as I said, a little more road capability on this shoe, and we think it's worth a shot. So come on in, try it out, and we can't wait to hear your comments in our page. We really do listen to them, and we'll try and comment back. So thank you for watching.